Hey friend, welcome to the treehouse. Want to come inside? Oh, wait, just one last thing. All right, let's go inside. Hello, welcome everyone to Frame by Frame. Phil Ebner here with a new haircut, feeling fresh. And I hope you're feeling good today because we've got another great show planned for you today. So, welcome everyone here live. If you're watching the replay, special welcome to you. If this is your first time watching Frame by Frame, well, extra special welcome to you. Super excited to have you here. So we're going to get right into it. If you are brand new, if you're watching this on YouTube, somewhere else, and you are not part of our amazing Photography and Friends community, it's free to join. Head over to photographyandfriends.com and become a member. We've got lots of fun stuff going on over there. Just a quick preview of a couple things that are exciting. Well, this is today's challenge that we're going to be going over, but big shout out to some of our new members, Michael, who joined in the past week, Renee, welcome, Christine. I love seeing people actually take part and introduce themselves and show their faces. It's part of like the mission of this community to just build those connections, those real human connections that we have with each other. Anidia, welcome. Lots of fun stuff going on here. I came in and I had like 100 notifications was like, wow, there's a lot going on. So super exciting. Welcome, Brian, live. Hello. As I like to do is first, today's topics. We're going to be doing the portrait divided by light and shadow challenge reviews. That's happening. The new AI for photography course is live, and that's super exciting. Lots of people joining there, and I'll show you that in just a second. Just talk a little bit more about that. And this is probably the last time I'll include this, but the new supporter spaces are live. So in March, we sort of revamped the supporter spaces, and we've got some fun stuff going on there. Like this week, we just did the Let's Edit a Photo challenge number 1. Here, you'll get access to this as a supporter, which is every month we have student submitted photos where you will have access to the raw photo. I will do a tutorial on how I edit it, just so you can kind of follow along. And then we all share our photos and our edits. So shout out to Paul Anderson for supplying the first photo. I'm just going to do a quick preview. Lots of cool edits going on. Super exciting. So big shout out to our supporters because you are the ones that keep the community going, keep it growing. So big shout out to all of our supporters here. And I just really appreciate it. It's $5 a month. Mostly it's just for, supporting us, helping me motivate me to get in here every week to do the show, to run the weekly challenges, but also to amp up the things like the supporter space with the monthly exercise. Let's edit a photo. Next week, if you're a supporter, you will see the first photographer showcase. Actually, this is going to be promoted to the whole or shared with the whole community. But this is if you are a supporter, get into the photographer showcase space and nominate someone. You can nominate yourself, nominate another photographer, and I'm going to be featuring one of our supporters and just probably sharing some of their photography, a bit about them, just to help spread the word about them in the community. And then the last thing before we jump into the reviews, welcome Arthur, hello, Rosemary, hello, is yes, I launched this AI for Photographers course, and there was a post, I think it was by David in the community this week that was really on point with this, where he was asking for actual review or critique from Claude, which is one of the tools. But really, this course was meant to showcase the tools that are built into maybe the ones that you're already using, like Lightroom or Photoshop, but also a number of other ones like Aftershoot, Luminar Neo, Imagine, Topaz. You can see sort of a breakdown here on Udemy what the course topics are, but basically just walking through those specific techniques. And it's not about generating photos from scratch and replacing you as a photographer. It's the tools that I think you can use, but still stays authentic as a creative and as a photographer, that just make things easier. And some of these tools, it's like it's doing AI in the background, and it's not even like in your face AI. What I mean by that is like in Lightroom, when they first announced the denoise tool, it was like powered by AI. But now the main denoise feature is the denoise, the AI one, not the manual one. So it's this balance of like how we feel. I mean, I'm on the fence on a lot of AI stuff, but it's just being a part of all the tools we use. And it's important to understand how they work and whether you want to use them or not. So this course is there. Got a bunch of people joining. There is a launch deal, $10 for the course. It helps support me and the community. Therefore, if you join, I'll post the link to that. Just make sure that if you are logged in, you choose to purchase the individual course. Udemy's offering a subscription, which is great if you want that, but that doesn't, if you do that, then we don't, as instructors, don't actually make money from those subscriptions as much anyways. We get like a penny per minute that you watch or something like that. So it's very hard to make our money from those subscriptions. And if you want the deal, you'll need to click the individual course. So thank you to everyone who has supported already and join that course. It's exciting to see. And as always with new courses, just let me know if there's something I missed, if there's something else you want me covering. I mean, with this topic, there's new stuff coming literally every day. It's like I see a new tool or a new feature. So I'm going to try to stay up with it, keep up with it. And yeah, I think that is it before we get into today's challenge, which is portrait divided by light and shadow. But quick little tea break. I'm drinking some matcha tea that I got from Japan, actually, on our trip in 2024. So enjoying that. Last night, I went to a little class that a local organization put on called Bike Touring 101. It's something that I've always been interested in, and yeah, it's something that I think taking a camera along for like a bike tour would be really fun to document. So I'm curious, does anyone have any future travel plans or destinations that they really want to go to? If you have something like that, share it in the comments. I'd love to know where you guys are all planning to go or hoping to go in the future. So share that. And I'm going to get right into today's challenge, which is portrait divided by light and shadow. This is a very specific challenge. It is not open-ended like many of them where it's like black and white or minimalism or whatever. So this one I think was a little harder, I'm sure, for many of you to actually complete. And I saw a few photos that didn't really fit what I was expecting for the submissions, but that's okay. I'm going to go through all of them. But really what I'm looking for is a combination of the technique of capturing a portrait that has some sort of shadow light element to it. And then at the same time, beyond just a standard photo of a face, a person with light and shadow, is there anything more? Is the composition creative? Is there some sort of storytelling element to the portrait? Is the location, the background, all of that, is that something that takes it to the next level? Omar, hello. Japan for a third time. That sounds awesome. We got back from Japan and it was a whirlwind. and we have kids, so we brought our 3 kids along. We met with family, and right when we got back, I was like, wow, that was crazy. Like, I don't need to travel for a while. But then like a few months later, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to travel again, and I want to go back to Japan again. It's just like it's just such an intriguing, amazing place. Thanks for sharing, Omar. If I asked if you're tuning in right now, if anyone has future travel plans or anywhere like a dream photo destination that you'd like to go, let me know. Ileana, hello. All right, so I'm going to get into the critiques. So, as always, I try to say 1 or 2 things that I like about the photo, and then 1 or 2 things that I think may improve it. Everything I say is my opinion. If you have your thoughts, I would love to see them in the comments. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can actually watch and turn on the live comments so that people can follow along and kind of see what the live audience was thinking about those photos. And 1 through 5 star rating, 3 meaning you completed the task and you took a picture of a portrait divided by light and shadow. Focus is good, composition is good. You're gonna get a 3. If there's anything that stands out, the best photos get the 4s and the 5s. And if there's ones that didn't hit the challenge or technical issues, are the ones that are gonna get the 1 and 2 stars. Try not to feel bad if I give you a 1 or 2 star, especially for this challenge, because this one was a little bit harder, I think, to really master the challenge. But yeah, let's get into it. Today I'm going to go top to bottom, starting with Elaine. And this is a good example of one where I don't think it fit the challenge. I understand maybe it was just too hard, or it's hard. It's embarrassing. I don't like taking pictures of people trying to find a subject. I see some light, I see some shadow, and maybe it's a portrait of a cactus plant, which is kind of interesting. The shallow depth of field highlights the details, which is nice. So that's what I like about this photo. I would probably, one thing I would improve is overall it's a little dark. So I'd probably raise the exposure overall. Keep the same about a contrast, but just increase the exposure. Unfortunately for me, this one, I'm going to start out and I'm going to give this one a 1 because I did want people to be actually taking photos of people, pets, something that like is more of like a traditional portrait. And I just felt like it missed the mark. But for like a cool plant details or textures, macro challenge, that would be a great one. All right, next we've got Carlos with this photo or good portrait. So what I like about this is that you've got nice lighting. You know, your interior, it's natural light, but still nice. Warm glow, nice bokeh in the background. Things I would use for an improvement, I would probably crop this line on the left out because the rest of the background is very soft. It's really nice. It's kind of one exposure, but this line on that window frame is kind of a distraction because it's like the darkest thing on there, more contrast. I would probably play a little bit with the white balance. I like the warmth, but it's a little bit off for skin tones. So that's what I would play around with. Not getting the light and shadow really in this one. It's mostly well lit. There is some shadow coming in from, of course, the overhead lights and things like that. It wasn't exactly what I was imagining for this challenge, but I do like her expression looking off screen. I would have probably asked her to look a little bit closer to the camera, even if she's looking off frame. Her eyes are like so far to the right. I think that if she was looking a little bit closer to the camera, in between like that window and the camera, you would see the iris of her eye a little bit better, and that would be more of a dynamic portrait when you see that. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 2. You got the portrait. Not really sure if it's divided by light and shadow, but nice, beautiful portrait. All right, next we got William Finn, and this one looks like a self-portrait maybe, so that's awesome. And this is really the first one that I think did the challenge nicely. So kudos to you for doing the challenge. And I think you hit it with lighting in terms of that side lighting, really dividing your face with light and shadow. A couple things to improve. I would probably bring down the whites or the highlights over on the left side of your face. It's a little overexposed. I would bring that back down just a little bit. And then the background, I would have tried to clean it up. So I can see there's like a door frame over on the right-hand side. It looks like maybe this is all a blank wall behind you. So I probably would have just tried to turn or something where that background was completely blank, and a clean background for this style of photo. One little advanced thing that I might have played with was doing a little like radial mask or brush mask right on your eye that is dark, and brighten it just a little bit, or even just the whites or the highlights, because there is a little bit of an eye light. That eye light is that little shiny light, that point of light that makes eyes pop in photos or video, and you can see a tiny bit of that. But if you brought that exposure up, even though that side of your face is in shadows, it would be pretty captivating to be able to see your eye a little bit more. So anyways, I'm gonna give you a 4 because I know this was a hard challenge, and I think you did, even though there's some editing things I would change. It's not the most creative background. I think I want to give you praise for actually completing the challenge. So good job, William. All right. Hello, Suzanne. Everyone else here. Elaine, sorry. I see your comment now. I realize it's supposed to be a portrait. Okay, totally understandable. I think that, I was thinking about this afterwards. I think another challenge that was shadows or dark and light would be awesome too. So again, that's a good caveat. If I'm giving you a 1 or 2 star because it's not a portrait, maybe that's because you misinterpreted the challenge, and that's probably my fault for not making it clear enough. All right, we got Lori here with this really cool and creative portrait here of a girl with a little lamp that she's holding. And I dig the black and white edit. I dig the lighting where everything falls into the darkness. The contrast is really good. And then here you can see nice, cool shadows going on, as well as a couple highlights. So you see that? See those highlights? Can I zoom in on this photo? Yeah, no, it doesn't. When I zoom in on Safari, it doesn't actually blow up the photos on our platform. But that makes those eyes pop, and that's because the light is shining. It's like the reflection of this light source right here. But really good. I mean, the only thing I would say maybe to improve it would be, I feel like everything's a little bit weighted to the right side of the frame. And so maybe giving a little bit of room over on the right-hand side, or like if she was placed a little bit towards the left, it would have felt like a little bit more balanced. But sorry, I'm distracted. There's like a flock of robins outside of my room office right now. There's like 20 of them. That's crazy. I wish I had like a second camera and I could just like point to the birds when there's a cool bird outside. But yes, I mean, good job. I'm going to give this one a 5-star. Really, really fun photo, and extra credit for the work that went into doing this, and shot with a phone, which is cool. All right, next we've got Mateo. All right, this photo. Ooh, cool. Okay. I dig. What do I like about the photo? I like the contrast. It's really cool contrast. And the lighting from the candle looks cool. I'm wondering if all that light is coming from that candle. It almost looks like there should be maybe another light source to create such a shadow, but if that's all coming from the candle, that's pretty cool. So that's good. Very dramatic. I think that's what you're going for with like the colors, the contrast, the shadows. The shadows are good. I think for this photo, I would have preferred if both eyes were in focus. I think if her face was turned a little bit more, you could have gotten away with one eye being in focus, one not being in focus. But it looks like it's just distracting in a way that eye is not in focus. So this is one case because you're so tight on her face and you don't see anything in the background. You probably could have gotten away with a deeper depth of field, a smaller aperture, higher f-stop to get more in focus. And that's really my only critique. I like seeing the candle here too. I think that's fun. Yeah, colors, the skin is a little bit like, I think, over softened. It feels like the retouching the skin feels a little unnaturally like blurred out, that clarity dropped or whatever you use to do that. So I feel like it's a little bit much for my taste. But the dramatic portrait's cool, and I like how everything falls into black or falls into the shadows. So gosh, I think I'm gonna give it a 4. I mean, I think 4 or 5 close. Couple of the editing things that I think would improve it, and then I think that focus for me is the biggest issue. But really solid job. So good. I don't want to detract from this photo. It's really great. All right. Next, let's go to David. Captain on the Bridge. All right, so this is a cool photo that was captured with daylight, still getting decent shadow and contrast on the face, which can be done with natural light. It is a little bit harder to get those like direct shadows unless you're sitting under like harsh sunlight or something like that. But I mean, focus wise, it's pretty solid. Everything seems to be mostly in focus. There might be a tiny bit of shutter blur there, motion blur. From it looks like movement rather than like being off focus, lens focus. The expression's great. I probably would have preferred his head being a little higher with less headroom above. Like his head face is like on the bottom half of the picture. Typically, I think like it's a little more natural and a nicer balance if the eyes are a little higher in the frame. So if that was like a crop, maybe crop down just a little bit. Yeah, I mean the light and shadow is cool. I wouldn't call it portrait divided by light and shadow, but that's okay. I would give this a 3. I think that good solid portrait photo of this guy. It's not as eye-catching as some of the other ones we've seen that have that dramatic lighting, but still nice textures, nice colors as well. All right, I think we're getting a lot of people saying they want the Mateos to be 5 stars. So Suzanne says it's perfect, 5 stars. Barbara says 5 stars. So Mateo getting a lot of love from our live support fans, which is awesome. All right, next we've got Ileana. All right, Ileana, let's see. Ooh, this is a fun one. This is another one of my favorites that I saw just scrolling through. Spot on with the portrait being divided by light and shadow. That's awesome. It's that side light, which is great. I actually really like the edit as well. It's not super contrasty. It's more of a flatter edit. So you brought the blacks and shadows up, which is a cool style. I really dig it. I like the eye looking, just the expression on his face. So I think that's great. And like Rosemary said, what I was just gonna say, the curtains match the eye color, which is awesome. A couple things that I would probably change was, I don't know if I like. You kind of can tell they're curtains. This dark stripe right here, a little distracting. So I think like a cleaner picture, like if there was a way to position him, or where it was more of just like the blank curtain in the background, might have been nice, but I don't know. It's kind of also just like this interesting abstract shape in the background. I kind of almost wish, though, since there is this one, if there was like another one over on the left-hand side or something like that. And then the only other thing, like, I think similar to what I said before, is like, if there's a way to see the eye that's in the shadow still, I think that would make these photos a little bit more eye-catching, iconic, and you can almost see the eye. So if there was any way to position the light higher or something just to get a tiny bit of light on that eye, would have helped. But still, I mean, really cool. I think even like you might have been able to like bring up the exposure on this side of the face, because I like that blue light that's like bouncing off the curtain. So seeing a little bit more of that might have been cool. All that being said, I'm going to give this a 5 because I really like it. So this, I think, is like a much more balanced positioning of a person in a frame. Not that you always have to do that, but just in terms of like the spacing around the head, the eye line being on the top third of the frame. So Ileana, really good job. So Ileana says, I tried to bring the eye more, but didn't look good. Yeah, I could tell that. I think like with this photo, this exact photo, if you were just bringing up the exposure, it could start to look weird. I know how that is when you do that. So yeah, maybe a different position of the light or something, but otherwise, I mean, still, it's kind of cool. I mean, maybe if like you just can't see his eye, maybe it's like almost like wanting this part of the eye to be in the shadows as well, like his eyebrow, just so it's not, I don't know. I'd have to like see both and really see if I like one or the other, because what this is pretty nice. Cool. Good job. All right. Next, we've got Gustavo with a photo with light and shadow. It's of a frame of, I'm assuming this is Mary and Jesus, baby Jesus. So there's kind of a person in there. The photo is divided by light and shadow, which is kind of cool. So that's a creative take on this. I probably would have darkened the shadow just a little bit. I don't know if this was like this or if you just added this as like a mask, or if this was like a highlight from like a window light or something like that. It almost looks like just a mask to me, which is creative. But I don't think it counts as the challenge. So save it for creative light and shadow challenge. But it's not a portrait for me. All right, next we've got Ragul with these ants. Ants. Is this just a portrait? I would say that you could get a portrait of ants. And I think to really capture the light and shadow, you probably would need like a super macro lens to get those like extreme close-ups or something like that. That would have been cool. That would have blown my mind if someone submitted that kind of photo. I do like the light coming in from behind. I think the ants are just a little small in the frame. I wish that you could crop in a little bit and still have quality. Gosh, these birds are great. Okay, pause. Sorry. I need to take a picture with my phone so you can see this. All right. Well, they all flew away, but there were like 4 or 5 of them. You probably can't even see. This is my fountain back here. Oh, see, there's a robin. There were like 5 of them sitting in the fountain like a second ago. Sorry, so distracting. But anyways, yeah. Again, I don't think it's a portrait. There is some light and shadow for this photo to be a little bit better. I think tighter, a little closer up to really see the details. But ultimately, again, not a portrait for this challenge for me. All right, next up, we've got Mirella. Okay, so this, I think, is a portrait of a bird. And there is some light and shadow, which I really appreciate. And this, Mirella, what lens were you on? You were on, I don't know what lens, but... 500 millimeter lens. Yeah, you got to be really close. That's awesome. So here you got some direct lighting, which is good. I think to be able to see like light and shadow, you'd probably want to see like, well, I don't know, because I like this portrait view of the bird. You get a little bit of shadow going on, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, this is just a really amazing photo. I think for light and shadow, I wonder if there was a way to like play with a mask or something, or darken like the front side somehow creatively. But like, I don't know. Then I don't know if that would have even looked good because, yeah. But the direct light coming in from the side is really good, and I'm not going to give you extra credit for the bird, but that's a really, really good photo of a bird. So great job. I think that I'm going to give this one, now as I think about a rating, I like the negatives or like the spacing, the rule of thirds on the left. So that's nice. I think I'm going to give this a 3, just because it's not really like got a lot of shadow going on. There's a shadow on the top of the bird's feathers head. Maybe a 4 if I was giving extra credit because it's a bird and because this is a really difficult photo to get. I mean, there is a lot of shadow going on in the background, which is cool too. So, man, you guys take some good photos of birds though. I'm jelly. All right, next we got Wanya with this one. I don't have the honor to take new photos. Old self-portrait. Cool. Well, this is a portrait and there's a lot of light and shadow, so that's really, really good. I like the actual positioning and like sort of the off center and the canted angle of this photo. It's kind of like tilted, and it adds to the drama and the emotion from this photo. So that's really cool. I mean, obviously, like the work to like do like the makeup and that whatever blanket scarf thing that's over your head and the lighting coming top down. It's really good. I think the only thing, again, I would say, and this is just like the key to good portraits, is like being able to see the eye is such a, it's so important to like connect with the viewer. So not that you have to be looking at the camera. I think just looking up a tiny bit more, and if there was a little eye light or something so that you could see your eye, that would have been nice. I think it's one of those things though, like I say that and it's the same as like, oh, I want straight lines, vertical, horizontal. There's a time and a place to not be able to see eyes and to I mean, this is an emotional photo, and I think like Suzanne says is exactly what I was going to say, is like sometimes like that not being able to see the eyes like helps with the story of the photo. So yeah, I think this one's maybe a 5 because for me, I like the natural look of it. It's not over edited. The skin looks good. It's tells a story. It's like beyond just a photo of a portrait. So I think this is good. Good job. All right, next we got Verushka. All right, self-portrait with the cell phone, right? Yeah, Samsung A33. Cool. I like that you just did it. And what I love about this photo is the balance. You got you, but you also have something interesting going on in the background. You got this shadow with from the window on the background, and that actually creates a nice little thing that's in the background that adds to the photo. And there's purpose behind it. I think there's a couple of the other portraits where I said, okay, maybe clean up that background, maybe like have it be a blank wall, but like that doesn't always have to be the case, especially something like this where the background adds to what's going on in the foreground, the shadows. And you can tell like this light coming in from the window. I think that's pretty good. The room for improvement, I would have probably darkened up everything on your face a little bit more. This part of your face is pushing towards a little overexposed, and also to like also get that shadow, to really see that shadow. I think being darker would have been maybe better. I'm trying to think. It's kind of like an awkward placement of the shadow on your face. I think because there's one strip of shadow, it's like looks kind of, if you didn't know that it was for this challenge, it looks kind of funky, like, oh, that's like weird, like change your position. I think if there was like similar to how you have like the crosses here in the background, the cross shadows from the window frame, if you were standing somewhere where like you saw that more, like in the middle of your face or on the side of your face, that might have felt a little bit better. But yeah, but see, like this is one where you can really see your eyes and they pop, and it's like you're looking into my soul. So it's like much more visually intriguing as a viewer to look at this photo, in that sense anyways. Like Arthur says, it looks like it's from a theater. It sure does. It looks like a set. So I don't know, what would you guys give this photo based off of all the other ones, what I've been saying? I think it's a 4 for me as well. I think maybe a 3.5. I think I'm going to give you a 4. I wish the shadow was a little bit more prominent or interesting or something on your face. Even if you would have like used a mask to darken out this side of your face a little bit more, I think that could have been an editing way to get more of a shadow. But the fact that the background is like super cool, I dig it. So really good job. All right, Mubin. I took this photo while learning portrait photography last month. All right, so this is an example in daylight where you could have gotten a lot of shadow. I kind of like the take. I can see what you're doing where you got the person you're taking a photo of. Arthur was talking about the previous photo. Okay, gotcha. I still think that one looked like theater too. You got like a shadow that's silhouette. I think what would have been really cool with this photo would have been if she was facing the other way, if she was facing left or straight or something, and then you saw the shadow with the shape of her face on this wall and you were close up. I think this photo, it's okay. It's like kind of like, not that having like a full body shot's bad, but to really like get creative with a portrait, I would have wanted to be closer up, and just the fact that there's this direct light, it would have been really cool to have like her face looking the other way with the sun shining across it, and then the silhouetted shadow, but being able to see like that shape of her face on the wall. That would have been really cool. As it is right now, it's got shadow. It's yeah. I mean, I think it's your take on shadow, portrait with shadow and light. I'm gonna give it a 3 because it's in focus. It's not like a bad composition. There is some light and shadow. I think you said this was from before. Like if you were doing this again and you can go to the same location at the same time of day, try that. Or in a similar place with direct light, try something like that to get like a cool shadow as well as the person in the portrait. All right, next we got Barbara. All right, Barbara used the pup, which I can totally appreciate, and this is really good. I love the sharpness and the focus on your dog's face. A lot of people struggle with this, using the wrong aperture where just the eyes are in focus, or you accidentally get off the eyes and the nose is in focus. But the fact that you have the eyes, the nose, and all this fur in focus is really good, really spot on. And then I don't know if it's the lighting. It looks like maybe there's some editing going on with like a mask, but like the editing, the masking, whatever it is that's creating this like shadow in the background. Also a nice shadow on the right side of the pup's face, and then the shadow from the pup. I mean, really good. I have actually like really no notes on this photo. I mean, technically some of the other photos had more shadow, but I think this is spot on and like a great example of a pet portrait. So I'm going to give you a 5. Good job. All right, next we've got Ian. I snapped a photo of my son before he got out of bed this morning. Today's his birthday. All right, nice. All right. This is somewhat like, I think, okay, I do not want this to come across the wrong way, but it almost looks like a bad photo, but like then you look at it again and you're like, actually it's kind of creative. Like, I don't know if it's the editing that put this side of the bed or the pillow or whatever it is over here in complete shadow and darkness, and then like this like kind of like weird angle off to the side with this blanket, and then like a kid's head like just peeking out. I actually really kind of dig it, and I dig the minimalism, the simplicity of it, and there is some shadow. I think I kind of wish that maybe the blanket was a little bit lower and you could see more of his eye and the shadow that's on his eye, to really get that. The focus is a little off or something. Maybe it's because the ISO was probably like super high for this photo because it was probably dark in there. But the focus seems a little soft. But it's like, I think it's like a good creative take. I'm just like actually really intrigued by this photo, just the spacing and the balance and the simplicity of it. I think for this challenge, it's not it doesn't like wow me in terms of light and shadow, but just the photo itself is intriguing to me. I'm gonna give it a 3 because I think like you did a good job. It's a person, there's light and shadow, it's mostly in focus. Yeah, I don't know what other people think, but I think it's a cool submission. Freggy? All right, we got Hong Kong Disneyland fun. Lots of lights and shadows. Not a portrait. So, I guess if the building is a portrait or your subject, then yeah, there's lots of light and shadow. And that's kind of fun. I would have probably tried to center the center this in the frame. I think that it lends itself to symmetry and framing center. But I mean, this is one of those ones where you're capturing light and shadow happening naturally in like this light show environment, which is cool. So I might give you a 2 for that. I think because it's like more, there is light and shadow on this subject. But it also kind of just feels like a random shot that you just got, at this place. And it wasn't like you putting in the work to like find a person, a subject, light them and capture it. So not to say it's a bad photo at all, but for this challenge, I think it didn't work exactly how I was hoping. All right, next we got Larry, which again, I really love this photo. This photo speaks to my heart. It's got a bicycle. It's got cool textures. It's got shadows. It got the blues and the oranges that compete with each other. It's got nice balance. It's minimal yet interesting to look at. And there is light and shadow. It's not a portrait divided by light and shadow. I wouldn't call if like maybe if you like staged the bike and you had like some cool shadows and light on the bike or something, we could have said it was a portrait. But since it's not really a portrait, kind of missed the mark on the challenge. But because I like bikes so much, and maybe you could claim that this is a portrait of that bike leaning against the wall, I would say it's a 2 for the challenge, a 5 just because I really like the photo, but a 2 for the challenge. Yeah. Brian says, not a portrait per se, but damn, this is a nice photo. Feels like I'm there. Exactly. Colors are stunning. Yeah, so really good job. And Larry, I want to see more of your photography. So really cool. All right, next we've got Christina. Same thing. So not a portrait. Cool light and shadow going on with the Grand Canyon, which is an epic subject, and I like the fall off of exposures and textures that you get here. But yeah, not it wasn't the challenge that I think we were going for. It probably was confusing. I think sometimes these challenges needed a little bit more of a prompt or a description, because portrait, I don't know if people think of a portrait necessarily being a person, but yeah. Anyways, next we've got, this is a photo by JP. Nice natural light. I like the crop. So this is one where like the balance in the photo is really nice, where you're cropped in, but it's done so really nicely. Nice position of the eyes. You got the hand there, which adds a little bit to it. The eyes pop. Again, you get that eye light, that catch light in the eye here from some sort of light source that's behind the camera. Looks like maybe some windows, but that makes those eyes pop. Without that, it just wouldn't pop as much. And the shadow is nice. I think that to improve this for this challenge, you probably could have pushed the shadow and contrast a bit more to get more of that dramatic look. But for this photo itself, it's nice. The focus is really good. Similar to the I hate to say this, but similar to the portrait of the dog, it's like everything that should be in focus is in focus, like the face, the hand, even the textures of like this jacket thing. Really nice. So I'm gonna give you a 5. Lots of 5s today. I'm digging these photos. Good job. All right, next up we've got Rita. Ooh, this is a fun one. And I love that it sounds like you did this week. Nice. I love the black and white. I think it makes it clean and non-distracting to have like other colors going on. I think that's great. I like the light coming in. It's soft, and yet you still have like this fall off into the shadows, which is really nice. And I keep saying for some photos that you should push the shadows darker, get more contrast. But generally, like, I don't mean to make things like black so you can't see it. And this is a good example where I like seeing a little bit of the details, the face, the eye, here, even in the shadows, I think is nice. You don't necessarily want that to be completely dark. So I think that's really nice. I think the only thing that I would have changed is maybe the composition of this photo, meaning make it portrait or tilt down or something. I think the landscape with your face right in the middle is like a bit, the balance feels a little off to me anyways, but still a beautiful photo and nice edit. So I would probably just crop it or rotate it a little bit too, but still it's a 5. Good job. Good job, Rita. All right, next we've got Colette. Colette with this fun photo. Wow, nice. Okay, this one's really cool. I love the blue vibe going on. That's cool. You said it was for an album. Photo advertising is poem about the dark side of the internet. Well, I think that works for sure. Yeah, I like it's talking about balance of like positioning of a subject. Again, I think this is a little bit more natural for a portrait. Not that you always have to do it this way, but head spacing, the eye line, all that seems pretty natural and nice. I like the straight on look for this. I think my biggest room for improvement for this photo is the exposures feel a little extreme in some areas. Like this spot on his head is overexposed. This highlight, it's a little bit overexposed. And then I think his eye looks almost unnaturally exposed high. And I don't know if that was like a little edit you did there with like a mask or something. But it looks just a little unnaturally bright. Maybe it's because the light is coming from behind, and if it was a little more sidey, you could get a little more, a little bit more of a exposure here on this side of the face. And then in editing, you could always bring that down. If that makes more light on this side of the face, you could bring that back down to the shadows. And this is one where I actually like this side being mostly dark. I think you could go 2 ways with it. Maybe having a little brighter and seeing some details here if this side of the face was a little brighter as well. it's so dark. There's some detail that like part of me is like, just like darken it up and just make it completely underexposed. But I still like seeing like these hints of details. So yeah, I dig the blue light. Very cool. I think that maybe a 5. Maybe a 4. I think that little exposure things like make it a 4 for me, but creatively this is like right up there with the rest of those 5s. So really good job, Colette. All right, next we got David Kelb with this photo. Granddaughter looking through the door frame. That's cool. I mean, lovely little just day in the life sort of portrait. Got this nice shadow and light coming through, which is cool. And I like that this is different than some of the other photos where this is sort of just that natural photo of like what's going on. It's not a staged portrait, but you still get the light and shadow. It's a softer, flatter sort of exposure. Probably could have increased the contrast a little bit to get more of that shadow going, but for this challenge, that would be good. For the photo itself, I don't think it necessarily has to be that way. I wonder if there's any more information from the file on this wall. It's like so overexposed, like maybe a little linear gradient over here, bring down the exposure might be nice over there, but overall, really nice portrait. I'm gonna give it a 4. Great photo. Great natural capture. And I like the just like the framing within this door frame. It's nice. All right, next we got Caesar. Old self-portrait, single light. Nice, yeah. Really nice photo. Nice lighting. I think the lighting's really good. I think this is one where you see that both eyes pretty well, so that's nice to see both eyes. I think that the focus seems a tiny bit off on your eye and face. And you said this is from a while ago, so I think that if you took this photo again, you would probably nail that focus. The edit's really dark in the background, which I think is what you're going for, but your hair and your head kind of falls into the background, falls into the darkness. And something that might have been creative to do is to add a little bit of a hair light. If you're doing a portrait like this and you have like one side light, it would be nice to have like a separate light, even if you just use like the flashlight on your phone and put it behind your head and get a little bit of separation, a little rim of light around your head, shoulders, just to help you stand out from the background. That's not necessary if this is what you're going for stylistically, to like fall into the black darkness in the back. But just if you want to separate yourself, which I think can be nice for these kinds of headshot type portraits. So yeah, no, really good job. I think that it's a good light and shadow portrait. So I'm going to give you a 4. I think the focus being slightly off on your face, maybe tilting up a little bit or pushing the camera up a tiny bit, giving a little bit of headroom would have improved it for me as well. I think the only reason it's not a 5 for me is that some of these other ones that I've given 5s are a little bit more creative. All right, Brian, let's see what you got. We got this singer, looks like on stage, which is a great time to get photos with light and shadow, the direct light coming from above. I like the lighting. The black and white edit is solid. Almost looks like there's a little like bluish tint to it or greenish tint, which is actually kind of cool, metallic kind of look. Uh, the only thing is that the focus, or it's the shutter speed or something, there's a tiny bit of blur. Like if I'm zoomed in, you can see, I feel like it's maybe I don't know what it is. Like the microphone looks perfectly in focus, but her face seems just ever so slightly out of focus or motion blur or something. Um, but I really like this look. I like a lot of these photos that just like fall into the shadows in the background. It creates these really clean lines. What I like about this one that's different is that it's the side look. I mean, it's that portrait view of a person, and you see like just the outline of their face there and their body, which is really cool. So yeah, nice job. I think I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well. Maybe the weighted grades are all towards 4. Maybe they should all be 3s, but because like this is just like a solid job. It's pretty creative. Couple little things that I would have, like if you want a perfect shot, like the focus is a little off, but very pleasing photo to look at. All right, Thomas, quick shot of my friend Julian. Technically, the portrait is divided by light and shadow, right? Nice. This looks like it looks like the scene from The Godfather, just with like that sort of like brownish, grainy photo, and just his look and the background. That bokeh is really nice. Yeah, I like the shadows. I like the edit. Very iconic. The lights in the background are really cool. And even though they're like kind of bright and distracting, I think it just adds to the vibe of this photo. So I really like that. Um, and the negative space over here, balance is just very creative. I mean, it is a portrait. There's like shadow down here, which I think works for this. And it's not like exactly what like the split face light and shadow kind of vibe is from the prompt or from these other examples, but you got this nice shadows going on because of this like really spotty light coming from above. So I like the edit. I like the grain that I'm assuming, excuse me, that you added in this photo, and just the colors and stuff are really cool. Thomas is one to follow if you want some creative, fun edits. So I'm gonna give this one a 5. Yeah, I mean, maybe someone could argue that the light and shadow is not as strong in this photo, but just the fact that this photo is a portrait, there is shadow, there is light, and it's just like such a creative shot. I think it stands out. Really good photo. All right, Cesar Guzman with this photo. Lots of photos. We've got like several photos like this coming. Nice, harsh light. I mean harsh, not I don't mean harsh, but nice direct light, shadows on the face. Again, sort of like that portrait view or the side view of your subject here. And I like seeing that light, and it just creates this nice contrast with like the skin and the shadows and things like that. I'm not 100% sure about the angle. I feel like this angle could work, and maybe it does work. I think that like I feel like maybe her face is a little out of focus, and that's what's bothering me about it. I think that is it. I think her hands are in focus and her face is sort of out of focus. Like creatively, that might have been cool if you were more zoomed in and you were on her hands, but like her face was in the background more and more out of focus. But for this photo, and this composition of her, it seems like you want her face to be in focus as well. So that's probably the biggest thing that like to me stands out as an improvement. But it's a good experiment with this like harsh light coming from above. I think that Yeah, I think it's that focus that like detracts from everything, because then I'm like, well, I can't really see, the details and things like that. But you could tell her hands are perfectly in focus. I think the same photo, but if you were up higher, more not eye level necessarily, but just almost at like hand level, but still looking up a little bit, would have worked. I'm gonna give you a 3 because I think the light and shadow is really great. I think it's just something about the positioning of the camera, the composition, and then that focus issue that I think maybe could have been improved. All right, next we've got Hong Wang. I took this photo, a local coffee shop. The quality is really low. I don't know if that, well, you said it was iPhone 15. I think Hong, unfortunately, this one, the light and shadow doesn't really come across. It's like very flat lighting on their face. And then the quality of the edit, I think in this video, actually, you're probably watching and it doesn't look as pixelated as what I'm seeing. But also, like, positioning of the head, it's like right in the middle. I would try it with your portraits and headshots. Just move the head up a tiny bit so that the eyes are a little bit higher. But it's a portrait, but I don't see the divided by light and shadow really at all for this. It's very flat lighting. So, um, two because it's a portrait, but like, yeah, miss the light and shadow for me. Diego Santos. All right, this looks like, was this shot with a 3D cam or the 360-degree camera? What camera was this with? Doesn't say, but it looks like you're holding like that selfie stick for the 360 camera, which is and it looks like that sort of fisheye look as well. It's an intriguing photo. I'm not a huge fan of that like fisheye look, but it is creative. It's kind of cool, and you get to see like the whole environment with like the buildings, the bridge in the background, people walking. It's just like a creative composition. There is some light and shadow. I wouldn't say it's like a creative use of light and shadow. It's like very flat lighting because it looks like it was a cloudy day, so you get a little shadow in your faces. Yeah, so it's hard for me to judge this photo based off of this criteria. I'm gonna give it a 2. It's just because it's like stands out a little bit to me because of this like 360 look. It's like kind of a cool photo, and I could imagine like scrolling through Instagram and stopping on this photo and being like, oh, that's cool. But the light and shadow, I'm not really getting. All right, next we've got Celeste with this photo, midday swim. So this is an interesting take on the challenge because you get this really top or back light coming down. And I really like the positioning of your subject. You got the pool behind, it's clean, and you got these cool shadows, coming down from her. And yeah, it's kind of neat. It's a little bit like on their face, it's like not like a creative shadow. It's more just like their faces in the shadows. And I don't know if that's like makes it that good of a photo. Like maybe if you did this with on the other side of the pool or like around on one of the other sides where like the shadow was like more direct or something like that going across the face, that would have been interesting. But you get a little bit of division. I do like the positioning of the subject. The background's very clean. I mean, this is like a photo that I could just see being printed on the wall, hung up, and really appreciated for a long time. So, whoa, where'd I go? I lost myself. So I'm going to give it a 3 because it's like a really nice portrait. There is some shadow. I like the flat kind of look. I think because their whole face is in the shadows, you kind of lose the detail. It's hard to see their eyes. And I kind of just want more light on their face. So, yeah. All right, next we got Shirish, sunset in Hawaii. Beautiful photo. Love the silhouette. I would have probably gotten down with the camera. It's not a portrait divided by light and shadow. There is light and shadow going on, so that's really nice. But I think for this photo, getting closer to the ground would have been nice. And I think it was your wife, you said, maybe more prominent in the photo as well. But all right, 2 because I like the photo, but it's not a portrait divided by light and shadow. All right, next we got Paul Anderson with this setup. Let's go. I was trying to fog machine. That's cool. A lot of effort into this photo. Wow. Well, this is a really nice portrait. Very clean. Paul does an amazing job with lighting. You got the blue light, you got the purple light, you've got the main key light that's lighting their face. Everything in focus. Nice, clean edit. It's saturated but not oversaturated. Nice focus. And you get this shadow over here on the side of the face. I think for the challenge, maybe like going for a little bit more of a dramatic shadow, splitting the face would have been cool for this photo, for this challenge. But it's an amazing portrait. I would probably, I think even with this challenge though, I wish you would have done a little bit more to like push this side of the face into the shadows, even if it's just editing. But I mean, very clean edit, clean portrait. Like Brian says, classic Paul, great positioning on the back side light. Yep. And the colors are amazing. I think I'm going to give it a 4, not a 5, because the light and shadow is not as like dramatic. It's not as like shadowy as I kind of want it. It kind of just, this is like almost like a classic portrait lighting that you want. So for this challenge, I wish it was a little bit more pushed, but for creative portrait, this would have been a 10 out of 10. So awesome lighting, Paul. I mean, that shadow on the side of the face, though, people are going to probably say, Phil, you should have given a 5. But next, we've got Derek with this firefighting challenge subject. Interesting. Okay. I mean, light, there's light and shadow. You kind of see, it's kind of cool because it's gives you the experience of maybe what it would look like if you were wearing a mask in this location. It kind of makes you feel like you're right there. It's definitely hard to see the subject, and I think that's the biggest issue for me, is that I don't mind that it's like a almost full body view of this firefighter, and there's lots of shadows and bright lights going on. It's just the fact that I think because maybe there's smoke or the focus, I don't know what it is. It's just you can't really clearly see your subject. For this photo to improve, I would have probably tilted down as well just to get the full body. I mean, you're almost there. It's just you're cutting off their feet, and I think just tilting down would have been nice. And this doesn't look like something you were like, yeah, this is like live fire training. So very hard to get the lighting right. Fire in the background. I almost wish it was in color, actually, to get some of that color. But I'm going to give you a 3 because you got the portrait of a person. You got lights and shadows. It's just really hard to see. Like, that being said, like, if you had time to set it up and maybe, obviously you're not going to take your mask off, but like do something where you could see the subject a little clearer. That would have helped, but I understand that this was just a hard photo to get super clear. All right, next we got Suzanne with this naturally lit portrait. Here's one where the choice to put the subject at the bottom of the frame works better, I think. I'm not going to say, oh, well, put their eyes up at the top of the frame, because I actually like the balance. So I like the positioning. Focus is really nice. You get some nice light and shadow on their face. The edit is soft. It's not too contrasty, and I don't mind that. And we've seen that with some of the other submissions as well. I think the main thing is this building in the background right behind the head. I think I would have rather position your subject or something somewhere where there wasn't this shadowy building in the background, just so that your subject pops from the background a bit more. I mean, the focus is really sharp on your subject and everything in the background's out of focus, which is really nice. But even if that tree was more like just the background, I think it would have helped with that. But for me, this is a 4 overall. Nice positioning, nice edit. Focus is solid. A little bit better than definitely better than some of the other ones I've been giving 3s in terms of just those things. Focus, creative composition. The biggest thing for me is that building in the background. All right, next we got Verushka. Ooh, this is fun. Nice. What is this shadow? Oh, colander. Yeah. Okay. So creative. Awesome work using something interesting to get an interesting shadow. This is I don't think we've really seen someone do this yet. We saw the one with the light coming in through the window with the shadow going across the face. But this one is just like a creative crop, creative position. It looks like maybe you just desaturated the background, unless that's just really gray monocolor, just desaturated black and white bricks in the background. That being said, I think the colander position works pretty good. I kind of don't like seeing the colander shadow right here in the background, but that's okay. That I don't know how you would have done that. Maybe pulling the subject away from that background a bit. And the positioning of the colander shadow is perfect because the light goes right over the pupil, the iris, and you can see that pop, and it's not in the shadow. So this was just creative. Very cool. Very nice. I mean, some people are going to not like it, but 5 stars for me. Great creative work, great focus, nice colors, contrast, all of that. All right, next we've got Athena. Let's see, this portrait was captured live. My friend, I think we need a portrait 101 class. What makes a portrait? I think as a photographer, a portrait means a subject, a person, maybe a pet, maybe a statue or something, but it's something not just a scene. So nice shadows in here from the trees, nice setting, but I don't think it's a portrait. I want your friend there with a snowball about to throw it at the camera, and that light and shadow somehow hitting their face or something like that. So unfortunately for me, it just doesn't hit the challenge this week. All right, Michelle, fun in the park. Great position of the camera and just composition of seeing the change. They're kind of on a swing without even knowing exactly where they are. And you see that little smile on the granddaughter's face, which is lovely. I think the black and white is good. Oh, Verushka, did you not add your watermark this time? Were you the one that was adding the watermarks? Yes, thank you. No watermark. Yeah, this is just a nice portrait. I think the black and white helps. It might have felt distracting with all the colors and textures without the black and white. like black and white edit. I kind of wish the camera was a little lower so you're more like not necessarily eye level with the granddaughter, but just like see her eyes a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. It's like a really good photo. It's not super divided by light, like a super creative use of light and shadow, but you definitely have that shadow in there and that light in there. Profound words, Phil. All right, Katerina. Ooh, this is a nice photo. I really dig this one. I dig the natural light. You get that direct, looks like golden hour light coming across. The focus is very shallow. This looks like a super wide angle lens, like so close to this guy's face. You can really see like the detail and the freckles and pores in his nose. Focus is pretty good. I think the focus might be a tiny bit off, so the eyes are slightly out of focus, which I wish this eye was in focus in the back, the one that's mostly lit, but it's so close. It's not bad. And again, this is like a creative crop, a creative composition where you're cutting off the top of the head, even the chin, but it works. I really like the colors, the softness of the contrast, but you still, it's this portrait that's divided by light and shadow. So I'm gonna give it a 5. Nice photo. All right, next we've got Arthur. Oh, this is an interesting one. Sending this one to Texas. All right, so this is a portrait, looks like, lit up by this cigarette and the fire lighting it, which is kind of cool. It looks almost like a slow shutter because you're seeing the smoke kind of up there. 1/50th of a second. So not super slow, but you're still seeing a bit of that motion blur of the smoke, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's super creative. I think that I almost wish that you brought the exposure down even more. And the face was a little bit, it's almost overexposed. So bring that exposure just down a little bit. Maybe use some sort of like partial radial mask to darken the shirt area. I think like it's the vibe that you're going for is like this face being lit up by the cigarette and the flame, and then everything else into darkness. But then his shirt right here, which is like really in focus, is kind of distracting, this logo design. So to clean it up, I would probably just darken that up. And then the exposure is the only other thing. But again, really creative shot. I would probably give this one a 4 for creativity of like the moment, the lighting, the shadows are cool. And then just a couple of those little editing things might help. Exposure, and then yeah, maybe somehow try to get rid of those logos. Yeah. Cool. I think that is it. That is it for the portraits divided by light and shadow challenge. Amazing work, everyone. Lots of good photos. You guys impressed me. I knew this was going to be a little bit of a harder one. So yeah, good job. Next week, right now, we've got the hands challenge. So this is another creative one. Creative use of hands, photos of hands doing something. I'm looking for a lot of storytelling in this one because there's only so much you can do with like a nice photo of hands. But I think really what is going to stand out are photos where the hands are doing something or part of a scene that tells a story. So that is your tip for this challenge. Otherwise, I think that's it. Just a reminder that if you haven't checked out yet check out the AI for Photographers course that I just put out. I'll post a link right here. It's $10 on sale this week for the launch. And yeah, it's just a course that I felt like needed to be taught. There's lots of AI tools out there. Really, it's the things that I'm covering are things like how to cull and organize photos faster, how to do things like denoising, upscaling, a little bit of like distraction removal, like showing the tools that automatically get rid of dust spots, the ones that do a little bit of generative AI where you're removing distractions, people from the background. And there's this fence, there's a line in the sand for everyone of like how far can you go with a photo to stay authentic as a photographer, using these tools before it becomes just like an AI generated photo. This is not a course where I'm showing you tools like how to like create a photo from scratch using ChatGPT. That's not what this course is about. I really tried to keep it with like using the tools to help you as a photographer. But beyond like the tools as well, I do go over like things that just ideas, and I walk through the prompts of like using whatever your tool of choice is, whether it's Claude or Google Gemini or ChatGPT, as a tool for like being your photo mentor, getting feedback, but also more like for like scouting locations, finding inspirational photographers. If you run a photo business, like drafting contracts, drafting emails, using it to do market research as well. So check that out. As always, like people joining our courses, and especially this one, is going to support me and help continue to provide the time and space for photographers. Again, shout out to all of our supporters. We've got lots of stuff going on in the supporter space this month, like our monthly exercise on composition, which I've enjoyed seeing people practicing. This week's Let's Edit a Photo series, which is the first one that was live. So this as a supporter, you get, I need to change this. It is now March and it is now here. But we've got our first Let's Edit a Photo challenge where everyone gets to edit the same photo. Shout out to Paul Anderson for submitting that first one. If you haven't yet, submit photos here, raw photos. Same with monthly exercise. We got the composition. You get a free course with that. Inspirational photographers as well. Submit photographers for the showcase. And if you have any ideas for the monthly exercise, make sure you post that in the supporter chat, which is like a cool little chat room for us to just connect and be friends. But of course, if you're not a supporter, that's 100% okay. You get access to all the other spaces, and it's awesome to see your photos and stuff coming through the gallery. Oh, I'm so zoomed in. Through the gallery, all the different spaces. So yeah, it's just use the community as you would like. It seems like everyone's being friendly, and that's the goal. All right, have a beautiful day. I will see your hands photos next week, and we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.